Thanks for listening to the latest edition of Behind Enemy Lines. I am your host, Mike Luke, joined by the great Erik Ruby, who does an amazing job with Anthony Totri at PHNX Sun Devils. Like I said, you can catch me at PHNX_Wildcats. All right, Erik, listen, you like admiring Arizona from afar. This has always been something that I think it is.
Yeah.
Fair to say. I mean, you look at it and you just like, man, I just wish I could root for them. But,
yeah, man. It's like my secret desire, right? And I'm being completely and totally not facetious right now.
It just is what it is, man. Sometimes, don't hate the player, hate the game. I get it. But Arizona obviously has West Virginia this week. West Virginia is not good. They are also going to miss their quarterback. They're missing their best defensive player. Arizona's a 4.5-point favorite. If Arizona loses this game, I don't know that Arizona wins a game the rest of the year. Maybe Houston, but that's about it. Listen, basically, we've been saying every week this is a must-win game, and Arizona loses the game. This is definitely a must-win game, Erik Ruby.
Yeah, welcome to the Brent Brennan, your seat gets lit on fire if you lose bowl, because it's going to get real iffy for him if you lose this game, man. At home as well, on top of all of that, as long as what West Virginia is missing, you're both at 3-4, but they're ahead of you in the conference because they're 500. You're, of course, 1-3. You have to do more than just put out a competent performance. You can't just go out there and win. You have to. And honestly, if you want to revive any sort of faith in this fan base whatsoever, you need to win somewhat convincingly. And I just don't know if you guys have the facilities for that, Mike. I'm not going to bet on it until I see it. If you asked me at the beginning of the season, I'd say you guys would clear West Virginia. And that's still with my biased perspective. But right now, I don't see it.
No game is a gimme for Arizona. I think that is the lesson that we have learned from from this Arizona football season. Now, let's talk a little bit about ASU. You guys are off this week. Best player in the class decommitted in Adrian Wilson. Here's where I'm at with Adrian Wilson. This is about the 5th decommitment that he's had. He's been to, he probably looks like he's going to end up at Colorado. Let me ask you this. In this day and age, does it matter that much? I mean, obviously you don't want to lose the kid. I get that. But does it really matter, though, when you look at the transfer portal and you look at the best players on ASU. You look at 11. You look at a Scattaboo. I mean, I can go on and on down the list on defense, too. The portal, to me, has been the great equalizer for all of these decommitments.
Yeah, first of all, I love how we spent maybe 45 seconds on Arizona, West Virginia, and that's just the state of your football season right
let's
now.
Get away with it, man. Yeah,
I know.
Let's get on to something more enjoyable.
Yeah, of course, more enjoyable for you, ASU losing their top commit in the class. Yeah, it matters. It for sure matters. I mean, it doesn't matter as much, and I'm not at a point where I'm going to panic simply because of Kenny Dillingham and what he did after a 3-9 season. I'm expecting quite the impressive transfer portal and, quite honestly, continuing commitments from high schoolers because of what ASU has done this season, what they'll continue to do. But this sucks. I mean, you lose your top guy, and especially at a position where you need it. If you look at on ASU's offense right now, the one thing that they would absolutely love to have is a second consistent receiving threat to pair with Sam Levitt, especially a young one. Xavier Guillory is gone after this year. Jordan Tyson with the transfer portal, you would hope that he stays. You never know. He might be getting offered more money. Who knows, because he was a guy who was coming off of an injury in Colorado, stuck through ASU through injury, and now he's playing. He might stay, he might go. I can't put my money on that now because that's just kind of college football. So losing this guy sucks, man. Like, I'm not going to be like in Arizona where we lose one of our top prospects in either sport and say it just doesn't matter, Joe Sansanin. But I think it is.
Come on, when you bring your best player back instead of him, it does matter.
I know.
That was not fair. That was not fair, Erik Ruby. That was not fair.
I'm allowed to take shots. I'm allowed to take shots.
You are.
But I think, Mike, like, I'm not like worried about it, but I am disappointed. But I'll never be mad at a high schooler. I just can't do that.
By the way, one thing though, I've been in this game a long time, Junior. Let me talk to you for a second. Any kid that's been committed to 2 other places before they commit to you, they're probably not staying. And I'm not talking about ASU. I'm just kids like that. And again, I have no problem with this. I love the portal. I believe I have no problem with kids going to the highest bidder. I have none of that. But anytime you find a player that has been committed to multiple, kids like being wooed. They like being, if Deion Sanders is coming to you and pretending that he's going to be there next year, is it difficult for, it's going to be difficult for a lot of kids to say no to that. It just is.
Yeah, I think especially with that, I mean, I'm not going to get mad at Adrian. I would have liked him to stay, but if you're going to go to Colorado, you're going to go to Colorado. And I even mentioned this on PHNX Sun Devils. Kenny is the type of dude who doesn't want you here if you don't fully want to be here and bought in.
Well, look at it this way with like Dejon Hinton. I mean, when he decommitted from ASU, you got that he's got that thing going on where, you know, if you could travel somewhere else or you visit somewhere else, guess what? You're not committed to us. I respect that.
Yeah, and on top of that, Kenny's also the type of dude who's completely open to reunions, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if, let's say, Adrian Wilson hits the transfer portal in a year or two. Maybe he goes to Colorado. Deion's there for another year. Then Deion leaves. He doesn't like his situation. I don't think Kenny's the type of dude to cut off that relationship. And you might be like, you know what? I went and I saw the fake stuff. I saw getting wooed, and now I'm a little bit older and I recognize what ASU is offering me. And by that point, who knows what ASU is doing? So I wouldn't even close the door on his return. But Kenny's never been the type of dude to beg you to stay. You don't want to be here? Don't be here. And I love that about him. Even if it's going to cost you some high-end talent, it's going to pay off in the long run.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I totally agree with that because, again, you gotta have players that want to be committed to you. So I totally get that. Now, as far as Arizona goes, you start. We'll move back to Arizona football here.
I'm about to say we moved on from that a little bit too fast, my friend.
Let's move on to let's move back to a little bit of Arizona football. Now the staff is getting upset by report. You know, the media believing that the media has turned the team against. Has turned the team or the community against the product on the field. This is probably one of my biggest. This is probably one of my biggest pet peeves in all of sports. It is so disingenuous to believe that Arizona fans, and you might make education jokes, right? We can make them right back at you there, Mr. Erik Ruby, with the ASU fan base as well. So
I'll tell you this. This is not ASU educationally is not the ASU of like 15, 20 years ago. Pretty highly respected school in multiple different types of schools. I'll just say that.
It is great that you guys got AAU status 2 years ago. I very much I condemn you. I applaud you. I condemn that status. But joking aside, when it comes to fans know what they're watching, dude. Fans absolutely know. And this has been an awful product that's been put out on the field. It's not getting any better. The media has nothing to do with this. And you are, and I've always felt this, you are demeaning a fan's intellect if you think that they can go to these Arizona games and they're like, oh man, you know, just a play here or there, and we would have beaten a team that we lost to 49-7. I mean, that's just kind of the way it is. So the fact that you know, the staff is starting to get upset by, you know, media and whatnot, dude, you just win games, man. I mean, at the end of the day, and I'll give you guys you obviously do a great job with I almost said Erik Ruby with Anthony Totri. You know, you guys had Cam Scadaboo in there and Big Get. And I've said this from day one that, you know, if you're Brent Brennan, you sold all out on winning football games because you've done no engagement in the community. You hide your players, and you've said that, you know, that's not your job. Cool. A dude like Kenny Dillingham totally disagrees with that approach, obviously. He puts his players out there. He puts himself out there. He eats Del Taco cheeseburgers from people from rival fan bases. I mean, you know, but, you know, joking aside, he gets it. So, so this whole thing now about, well, you know, you've given people no reason to be interested in you. And the product you put out on the field has been absolutely atrocious. And I don't know what you're expecting at this point, man. Like, it just is what it is. So this whole thing about, the media, no, dude, the results on the field. Nobody cares. Nobody cares what the media says. If I went out there and I said, hey, guess what? I think Brent Brennan is awful, and they're 6-1, people are going to say, dude, you're an idiot.
Yeah. No, you can't get mad at people for agreeing with you, right? You can't say, hey, you know, media turn the fan base against the team. No. Listen, not everybody in the media does this. And I will say, like, there are people, I'm not talking specifically Wildcats or anything. I'm just talking like this industry overall, who do inflame things, who do kind of throw things out there in order to get people going. And maybe it's not like exactly what they think, but they know it's going to get clicks. Right. I can tell you for a fact that what Arizona media, and I know like PHNX Wildcats is a part of this as well, is saying about their football team is what they are saying. Like, it's not like, wow, let's try to spin this into something negative. Why would you want to push the fan base to dislike a team? Mike, the media loses interest. The media loses numbers if the fan base isn't invested in the team. It doesn't make sense.
Nobody has any vested interest in hoping that Arizona does poorly.
If anything, it's the exact opposite.
Yes, that is called a bad business model if you do approach it that way. So, but yeah, I just wanted to get that off the chest. So Arizona, though, what do you say? What do you got?
Well, okay, so I have, and this could be our last thing. So if you have something else you want to talk about, it's a little bit off topic.
I don't got anything important. Go ahead.
Okay. I put a poll out there, and I'm curious your thoughts. Now, I understand that you guys should be fairly confident you're going to have a better basketball team than us. I get that. But I think ASU basketball is going to be good this year. I think they will actually end up ranked in the top 25 at some point, if not at the end of the season. What do you think, or who do you think has a higher combined winning percentage between football and basketball this season? Arizona or Arizona State?
That's an interesting question. No, it's not. I'm going to back the A. But
I got you to think about it, though.
I know it's actually a fairly interesting question, especially if you guys go like 8-4 or something.
Well, that's the thing is if you guys end up going 4-8,
yeah.
No, we go 8-4.
We got a lot of heavy lifting to do come basketball season.
And that's the thing is I would say like, and I am a biased person. I love ASU, always root for ASU, but I'm not like stupid and I'm never the type of person to like just lie. I think Arizona will have a better basketball team than ASU this year, but really? I don't think the gap is going to be as big as what you guys think it's going to be. I think that this is going to be an ASU team that has a lot of talent and has a chip on their shoulder and will compete in the Big 12 and will end up making the tournament. We're going to have to wait
top 25. You're calling it right now a top 25 team, Erik Ruby.
Yeah, I think so. I think at least at some point in the season, and if not at the end, I think they'll be around that top 25. The Big 12 is just an absolute slog. So I don't think that, maybe what hurts this question is the fact that, maybe both Arizona and Arizona State's record in basketball is going to be a little bit lower than expected just because of the level of talent in the Big 12, especially for you guys. I mean, you're going to have a lot more night-to-night competition as far as top-end talent goes than before. But I think that both schools have a lot of talent. So I'm interested to see once football season ends and where we are at basketball season at that point, what that kind of looks at. So, because that was just something interesting on my mind that I figured we could end on here.
That might be a show topic for a later time. But
sure.
Erik Ruby, where can they find you and the great Anthony Totri doing their work?
So yeah, you can follow us at PHNX_Sun Devils live every weekday at 1:30. Now, we're on a bye week this week, so you would assume that we have a show on, Friday. We don't. We're actually doing a post game for ASU men's basketball scrimmage versus Duke on Sunday. That game tips off at 3:30. We'll be going live a couple minutes after the final buzzer on that one. Of course, you can catch us doing football post games and whatnot throughout the end of the season. You can follow me at ERIKRUBY. Not only am I on PHNX Sun Devils, I am also a member of PHNX Suns. We have a watch party if you're somehow listening to this early on Friday at Wild Horse Pass. We have pre and post game shows for every one of the games. We'll have it Saturday night against Dallas, and we'll continue to go through there. For right now, I'm on most of them, still producing. A little bit of a transition phase as we get a new person in here, but eventually I'll be on every single one of those shows. So you can follow that at PHNX_Suns.
All right. I am merely Mike Luke. You can follow me at Iron Mike Luke and PHNX_Wildcats. But again, like I said, check out the Sun Devils. They are killing it. The numbers are taking off, and these guys are hard workers. It is awesome to see all that hard work paying off. Salute emoji to the great Erik Ruby and Anthony Totri in absentia.
Yes, Anthony Totri, huge part of that. And I'll throw back some flowers at you, Mike. As much as I hate Arizona, you somehow made me just absolutely love you. I'm like, oh my God, I just love Mike, even though I hate your school. And if there's anybody who is the perfect place to go to, whether the season is great or whether the season's not so great, it's definitely the AZ Wildcats podcast here on PHNX. You guys have built a hell of a community there. So I think if you're listening to this, you're already a part of it, but continue to support Mike, give him likes, subscribe to the channel, go to watch his shows, even when Arizona loses to West Virginia. Give them the love.
Ooh, that's called a shot across the bow, but some of us will take the high road.
Well, I'm not going to, because we also put Southwest Bias out there. Me and you, we're just ripping content this week. Yeah. Southwest Bias is up on PHNX Sports right now and in your audio feeds. Should the Arizona Wildcats fire Brent Brennan? Answer was pretty clear. I'm not going to spoil anything. I did love my thumbnail.
That thumbnail was amazing.
The thumbnail was great.
Laid off.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead and check that out. That's the end of the plugs that I have for you today.
All right. For Erik Ruby, I'm merely Mike Luke. You've been listening to Behind Enemy Lines.
We all silly like the mayor.